Hi guys, I'm Anita and I'm back with another video, and today it's time for a March TBR, and I have quite an ambitious TBR this month, so let's just get along and get into it. First off, I'm going to talk about the books that I'm currently reading right now, and that is, the first one of those is Norse Mythology by Neil Gaiman. I actually only have about an hour left of the audio, so I'm pretty close to finishing that one. So far I am enjoying it, but it doesn't give you anything new towards the Norse mythology. I am from Denmark and Scandinavia, so we've grown up with all of the tales during school and all of that, so I knew all of them, and I've read these comics and it sort of reminds me of these Norse mythology comics that I read as a kid. So it didn't bring a lot of new things, but I do like the way that Neil Gaiman is storytelling it. So yes, as I said, I'm listening to the audio, and he's doing a really good job of that. Apart from that, I'm also reading Omens by Kelly Armstrong. This is the first book in her Canesville series, and this is a book that I have from the library that I have to finish in the next couple of days, so it's definitely one I'm working quite a lot on at the moment. And it follows this girl who's grown up being sort of part of a rich and wealthy family, and she's engaged to be married to this eligible bachelor thing, and just as everything seems to go right for her, she finds out that she's actually adopted and that her birth parents are convicted murderers, serial killers actually, and so everything changes, and because of all of the press stuff that happens, she ends up fleeing from her life, and she ends up in the small town of Canesville, and which is actually the place where her parents were from. So things start to happen, and yeah, I'm enjoying it. It's definitely very different from what I've read by Kelly Armstrong before, but I'm definitely enjoying it. I think I'm about halfway through with it. Yes, but I'll let you know more about it when I do a wrap up of it. And finally, I'm also reading Heartbitten by Chloe Neal, the fourth book in the Chicagoland vampire series. This is one of my favorite urban fantasy series. It's becoming one of my favorite urban fantasy series, and I'm already enjoying it a lot, and I think I'm about 35% through with this. And this series follows this girl called Merrick, who involuntarily is being turned into a vampire, and so she has to sort of deal with the repercussions of that, how she's deciding if this is something she wants to live with, and all of those things, and yeah, so things start happening, and she's part of this big vampire house called the Catagon House, and all of the rules that consist in this world, and she has to live along with now. I'm really enjoying this. I think the main character is really interesting to follow, and yeah, so I'm also enjoying this book. But after I finish these books, I have so many books that I need to get into. But before I get into those books, I'll just sort of give you a recap of what sort of my TBR challenges that I completed last month. First of all, I completed a series, because by reading Fire Study last month, I completed a series that had more than 2 books left to read in 2017, and I both read Magic Study in January and Fire Study in February. And the other challenge that I also completed was the old TBR book, which was Pivot Point by Cassie West. I read that one, and I'll give you more information about how I thought about that book in my wrap up, which will be coming up soon, as soon as I finish another book. Then I also picked a TBR job pick, and that was The Glittering Court by Rachel Mead, but I never got around to read that, so this is going to be added to my TBR for this month. Hopefully I'll be able to get to it now. And the other book that I also did not read for February was my old Kindle book, which is Hidden by Kendra Elliott or something like that. Yeah, this is also going to be added to my March TBR. I will say though that if I don't get to these books, I'll just add them to the next month. So, you know, I'll just add some more to them. Yeah. Now let's get into next this month's picks. We'll start out with the TBR jar I picked as a piece of paper. Let's see what it says. Read a short book that is less than 200 pages. Honestly, a copy of Every Heart a Doorway is on its way here, and I believe that's shorter than 200 pages. Because yeah, and it's going to be part of my TBR for March beforehand. So if that works, then I'll just pick that. I thought I would have it today, but actually I don't. So if you think that doesn't work, I'm gonna decide if it works. So yeah, I'm telling you it works. Because unless it's over 200 pages, then I'm gonna go and read Sound Bites by Rachel K. Burke, which is 175 pages long. So, and it's a standalone sort of romance story. That was my TBR pick. For this month, I'm not gonna focus on a series because I finished one last month, and I can focus on series maybe next month again. For my old Kindle book, I'm gonna read Runes by Edna something. I forgot her name, but I'll leave a cover of the ebook right here. And I'm also going to be reading Anew, which is an audio that I have currently. And this is by Chelsea Fine, and this is a sort of Arthurian retelling sort of book. Yeah, so those are added to my TBR file. The next thing I'm gonna say is that I have decided to take part in the BooktubeSFF Awards shenanigans. So I'm gonna read the shortlisted books that are part. So I'm gonna take part in all of the video making and all of that. That's part of this. And for the March read-alongs, these are the books that I'm gonna read. First one, I have to read Nine Fox Gambit by Yoon-Ha Lee, and I have that on my overdrive right now, so it's ready to be started after I finished Omens by Kelly Armstrong. Nine Fox Gambit was shortlisted in the adult sci-fi and fantasy category, and then I have to read Furthermore by Tahara Mafi, a middle grade shortlisted book from the March read-alongs. For the young adult read-along in March, we're gonna read This Savage Song by V.E. Swap. This is a book that I've actually had on my shelf ever since it came out, so it's very great that I can finally pick this book up. And then, as I said, Every Heart a Doorway is part of the read-alongs as well in March, and this is a book that is shortlisted in the short fiction category. And finally, I'm also going to read Monstrous, this graphic novel. That's the shortlisted graphic novel for this month. If I get through all of the books that I've already mentioned, I also have an audio of the 5th season by, I forgot the author's name. I'll leave a cover here so you can see it. This is the first book in a series where the second book is shortlisted. I think we're going to read that in April, so it would be nice to have this listened to, so I could be ready for the Obelix Gate for April. That's why I also have added these two books, which is A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab, the first book in her Darker Shade of Magic trilogy. Is that what it's called? Because the second book, Gathering of Shadows, is shortlisted, and I think we're going to read that in June for the adult category. Otherwise, it's the Gathering of Shadows we're going to read in April, and Obelix Gate in June, because they're both the adult fiction nominees. Then I also have to read Six of Crows by Lee Bardugo, as Crooked Kingdom is shortlisted in the young adult category, and so I'm looking forward to reading that as well. I have Furthermore by Tahara Mafi. I've reserved it at the library, so hopefully it will get here in time so I can join in on the read-alongs. Yeah. And apart from these books, I also am going to be participating in 2 readathons, and I'm not sure I can use very many of these books for that. So these are books that I'll read in between those readathons, so we'll see how well I do about that. I also have a ton of library books on my shelf that I can get to if I want to. And I'm not going to show you them in this video, otherwise it's just going to be really long. So instead I'm going to leave a link to my library haul that I did last week, which I will leave a link to it in the card symbol up here, as well in the down bar below. And I'm also going to be back with a TBR for the Readorama Readathon in one of the next coming days, because it's starting on Monday. So these are all of the books that I have on my TBR right now, plus the ebooks and the audios that I have on my list, as well as the ones that are on this way here. Yeah, so let me know in the comments down below if you're going to be participating in the BooktubeSFF Awards shortlisted read-alongs, or if it's something, some books you've already read and you're interested in, then let me know about that as well and how you enjoyed them. Just don't leave any spoilers, as I don't really want to be spoiled about anything. But I'm really excited about these read-alongs, so it's gonna be really fun to participate in it. Also, before I get out of here, I will leave some links to the GoodReads group for the BooktubeSFF Awards GoodReads page, so you can check it out if you want to join in on the read-alongs, as well as their Twitter account and other stuff, so that you can know where to look for things. You may already have seen some of the judges' videos. There's a lot of judges a part of this, so yeah. Anyway, this was all I had for you today, and if you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you in my next video very soon. Goodbye!